Welcome and hello to you and you and you and you and you. Coming up on today's show, let me be the first to welcome you to Always On Testing. Apple is expanding its ad reach with Apple Business. And join us for a book release and book banning party. It all starts right now if you work in the great business of marketing, advertising, and PR. Give us 10 minutes and we'll get you up to spec on an industry that is famous for wearing some wacky specs. Here we go. Welcome to your conspiracy theorist uncle's second favorite show about marketing. My name is Matthew Newell.
And I'm Chris Stone, and this 10-minute action-packed episode will get you all that you need this week in the world of marketing. Well, not really, about 99.7% of it. Matthew, are you ready to deliver the truth?
Most of it. Here is everything that you need to know about an industry that considers employee burnout cost of doing business. Today's lead headline: if you have felt a shift in the ad force recently, it could be because more companies are shifting from big campaign bursts to almost infinite A/B testing. Forbes' Bernard May highlights a few reasons for the shift in its timing. Consumer behavior is volatile. Don't believe them? Ask Bud Light or Tesla or Adidas or Survey or Prime Hydration. There are also budget pressures. A/B testing is at the bottom of the funnel and is highly trackable. And AI makes testing at scale possible, not just for big brands anymore. So what does this mean for you? If you aren't testing, start A/B testing. If you are, ramp it up a little bit. Even in the early days of Amazon, Bezos was touting that its homepage was in a constant state of being tested. And I think that paid off.
Yeah, kind of. The entire industry finally caught up to what every guy running a pizza shop, on their Facebook page, what they figured out in 2019. Just try different stuff and see what doesn't suck. Cool.
That's exactly right. Logic is caught up with our business. Next up in our marketing news queue, say hello to Apple Business for your ads. Apple, a small tech company out of Northern California, has revamped its ad business to include email, calendar, directory services, and maps. It's all pretty straightforward, but they've kind of repackaged it as Apple Business. The prices will be set in an auction-based environment, which is pretty standard. And Apple highlighted it will continue to protect users' privacy to a higher degree than its tech competitors. Now, that's starting from a low bar, admittedly, to get to a higher level. And just like that, Tim Cook's net worth just jumped to $4 billion.
Cha-ching. Oh, yeah, awesome. I mean, listen, we knew this was coming at some point, and I'm just trying to figure out what took them so long to integrate this. And also, do we really know what protecting our privacy to a higher degree actually is?
We really don't, but Apple is using it as the excuse of why they're not going full force into AI, is because they want to hold on to all of their privacy perspective, which, again, to your point, isn't exactly mapped out incredibly detailed. And our final headline, Chris, I am so excited that we are hosting the release for my new book, White Hat Marketing: How to Succeed in Marketing, Advertising, and Artificial Intelligence Without Really Lying. And to give everyone the quickest overview possible, the perspective that I take is that we're going to hit $1 trillion in advertising spend globally this year. And a lot of that, most of that, are legit campaigns that rely on respectable persuasion to sell its goods and services. However, more and more, We have companies that are using techniques like dark patterns, fear, false urgency, and targeting the vulnerable to make the simple sale. And it's only going to get more complicated and convoluted with AI, since it's promising to take more human oversight out of the process. Remember, we had Jazz and Heather on, and they were talking about all the benefits of having some human oversight
Mhm.
in the marketing process. So this book is intended to help the conversation for people who are interested in responsible marketing. What is fair? What is out of bounds? What is acceptable? And what is creepy? Paperback, audio, and digital books are all available. And if you can believe it, I did the voice on the audiobook. If this podcast drives you crazy, the audiobook will definitely drive you crazy. But stick around because we're going to have a book banning coming up right here in a moment.
An illegal book banning in your great state of Illinois, from what I understand,
That's
Matthew.
right. Just earlier this week, J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, banned book banning. So this is going to be the first book banning in Illinois that's going to violate the law.
That is so white hat of you, Matthew, to do that. But this is like, Matthew, this is like your 15th book?
It's up there. It's over a dozen. But
can't even count them at this point.
The tricky question is how many of them are good, though.
Okay.
It's not the same. It's not the same number.
But this is the best one and the one to start with. I wanted to maybe start and ask you a couple of questions, if I could, about the book before we ban it. So generally, the one thing I really loved about it is if you are in the profession of marketing, it does go back and sort of talks about the history of marketing, goes through, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Obviously that's when we sort of grew up in this industry, and
right.
and goes forward to now, but it not from a textbook perspective, but it sort of like lays the foundation for what is more about the ethical considerations, which you talk about, with the dark patterns and all of these other things. Why this book and why now?
For me, it's because as we get further and further into the world of AI, there's going to be less human oversight. That's fine. We've been headed in that direction. This is not a get off my lawn book. But as we head in that direction, we need to go into it with our eyes wide open that the power of marketing and ad spend and AI is not just all of the other changes in the history leading up to it have been kind of baby steps. We went from mass advertising into direct mail, for example. That gives you a little more opportunity for personalization, and then into intent marketing through search. So you get the marketers and advertisers have gotten these little superpowers along the way. And now we're about to get Superman's cape when it comes to, or we're getting it, Superman's cape when it comes to AI. It is so powerful. It can do so much testing. It can really do so many wonderful things quickly. It puts more onus on us, though, the marketer and the advertiser in the moment to make the right decisions.
If I am someone in this industry and I am reading White Hat Marketing by Matthew H. Newell, How to Succeed in Marketing, Advertising, and Artificial Intelligence Without Really Lying. See, like you're too humble to read that entire thing, but I'm gonna do that for you. But if I am in the profession, Matthew, and I realize during the course of reading these things, I'm starting to see, even in the business that I'm in, either the business that I'm leading or the business that I'm a part of, that is leading me down these certain pathways. What are maybe some practical, functional ways of you being in the industry, seeing these things, whether it's AI related or whether it's not, whether it's web design, whether it's particular advertising, presenting something to children, or whatever, you're starting to see these things. What's the best way to make changes within that organization?
First, I want to highlight the children thing. One of the things that I learned in researching this book is that particularly children under the age of 8, they have no context for what is real and what is paid and what is advertising. And
Mm,
so if you're there's nothing wrong with advertising. I stood up Sesame Street as a really good example of someone who's doing it incredibly responsibly. But Chris, you and I grew up in the He-Man and G.I. Joe days where there
mm.
was no line between advertising and the show itself. So one is to just be incredibly cognizant of the people who are vulnerable, who may not have the perfect edge of this is actually an ad. But the second thing, the best thing to do when it comes to privacy, when it comes to techniques, is to pause and say, how would I feel, me as a person,
Mhm.
how would I feel if I explained what we were doing to a potential customer? So when it comes to dark patterns, things like potentially making canceling a little bit more difficult. Do I want to explain that to my favorite uncle that we're trying to make it as easy to sign up as possible, but a little bit of a pain in the tuchus, to cancel like privacy concerns that we're, selling our information to third parties. Do I really want to explain it? Like that feels icky to explain. So
Yeah.
it really comes down to that individual marketer for them to be the guidepost of if I made this easy to understand, would it get me in trouble? And I think it's easier to explain to your boss, your CMO, owner of the company, that kind of stuff in those very easy kind of person to person terms.
Awesome. Outside of millions and millions of sales, of this book, what would you like to see come out of this? What sort of influence would you hope that this, would be able to impart?
I've never seen a period of marketing where everyone has the smallest slice of the pie, but even backing out just, to 10,000 feet, let alone 30,000 feet, it's just harder than it's easy to get into marketing through a tactic, through SEO, through direct mail, through those kind of things. But to take a couple of steps out to say, how does this all fit together? And are we driving people crazy through these extremely aggressive marketing and advertising tactics? I want people to just be a little more aware. As you and I were talking about right before the show, we've got advertisers are spending $1 trillion this year. There are roughly 30 million advertisers in the world. So that gives us all around 35, $40,000 worth of ad spend a year. That's not an insignificant amount of money. And there is a way to spend that money to not drive people crazy, to not violate the law, to not violate, not even violating the law, but ethical considerations as well. We can do. I know this is cliche, but we can do well with our jobs and still do good in the world with the tools that we have.
I love that. I love that. Maybe one day this will be a component of, courses, and I would love to be able to be white hat certified one day. Definitely inspired by this book, Matthew. I think it's important, and it's an important time to deliver this message. I do believe there is perhaps a renaissance, or I don't know what the word is, a renewing of people that are going to be like, okay, whether it's the slop that they've been served, or
Yep.
the bots that they've had conversations with, and all of a sudden they've been tricked, and they're like, oh my gosh, that wasn't a real person, and all of these things that are happening. At some point, there's going to be a shift, let me just say, in people and how they view these things, and it's important that we as human beings see that and are responsible for that, because we're the ones that are hacking in the prompts, and if we get lazy with easy buttons, it's going to affect human beings and how they view products, how they view your services, and how they view you, and whether or not they're going to trust you. What would you say to that?
We've talked about before on this show that 10% of all Facebook ads are either, spam or fake or for an illegitimate product. And that affects the whole ecosystem. I mean, that's billions and
Yeah.
billions of dollars of actual people like you and me who are typing in things that are nefarious, but your ad is sitting right next to it and it's just making the customer a little more jaded, a little more skeptical, that affects everyone. It affects the customer too, because now you're questioning everything, and that's no fun as well. So you're right. That's where I believe we are right now. And we need to start nudging those people who are doing the nefarious stuff to shape up, so that the entire advertising and marketing ecosystem is a little more fair and a little more clean for all of our benefit.
I love that. Matthew, I don't think I can ban this book.
No, well, I'm going to ban it as of right now. JB, come after me, my man. This book is so good and is so potent that it is officially banned as of now. And if they had banned the burning of the book, I'd burn the book too. But maybe that'll be next
Oh,
week.
so they've banned banning, but they haven't banned burning?
They haven't banned burning.
Okay, sweet. Let's light these things on fire.
I'm gonna go to Illinois' capital in Springfield and just start lighting all my books on fire.
You told me I couldn't ban it.
It's not banned.
You didn't tell me. As long as I'm safe, I've got the fire department here. Everything is controlled.
That's right. That's right. Well, Chris, thank you so much for taking that extra time in our humble little show to talk about all of that. And I do want to get us to wrong answers only and land this plane. So if you had to write a professional book about yourself, this is your autobiography that's just about your work and your career, but it's wrong answers only. What would you name that book?
How to succeed in playing heavy metal bass guitar and artificial intelligence without really lying.
How do you lie while playing heavy metal guitar?
I don't know. Ask Marilyn Manson. Oh, he doesn't play guitar. He has known to stretch the truth
Yes.
on some certain things.
That was good. That was good.
Don't come after me, Marilyn. Don't ban me. How about you, Matthew? Do you have a wrong answer?
Yeah, wrong answers only. The name of my autobiography was probably "Oops, I Did It Again."
All right, that is it for this week's special episode of Marketing Machines and Mischief. Before you go, make sure you go down and click on the link and get that book, How to Succeed in Marketing, Advertising, and Artificial Intelligence Without Really Lying by Matthew H. Newell. And then click the like, the bells, the subscribe, all that stuff. That stuff's for free. But before we go, we have a
little lesson learned. Respect your elders, especially the really, really old ones, and by buying their book. It's available on Amazon as we speak. See you next week.
Bye.